Yo, Sanjae here, people. Yo, honestly, it's been forever since I last posted. I I am really sorry. Honestly, like in October, you could basically just call it setback October for me. Honestly, like October was a really crazy month. Wow. Yeah, I mean the fact that I'm actually posting for chapters 27 and 28, then you should know. But yeah, so welcome back to the channel. Again, I'm sorry for being MIA for the most part these last 4 to 5 weeks, give or take. But I'm back and still alive, as you can tell. Obviously, you're watching this video. So let's get into it. So chapter 27 and 28 of Boruto. Where to begin? Chapter 27, obviously. But yeah, let me just bring up my notes here because I had read chapter 27 last month. Ended up having to reread it, and chapter 28 a few days, well, last week actually. And I'm now just doing the review. I basically just decided to say, hey, I'll just do the review, like, start off fresh in November. But let's see what we have here. Alright, so chapter 27. In the grand scheme of things, chapter 27, it didn't really advance the plot much. We really see Kawaki settling into his quote-unquote new life at the Uzumaki household, and the majority of the chapter are basically the most interesting parts of the chapter. I'd say is where we learn how we actually received the karma mark, and then basically a hint into the true objectives of Kara, which, like previous chapters since this Kawaki arc started, the author continues to basically just leave breadcrumbs in terms of building the suspense, building the tension, building the mystery. All great parts that were actually in Naruto as well, you know. For example, I mean, the lead up to Obito being revealed as the masked man. Yeah, stuff like that. For the most part, chapter 27 it's partially a slice of life, but even with that element, I'd say it was good to see that writing-wise, the chapter still had a focus in the direction it was going at the end of the day, which, just to get sidetracked just for a bit, it's really in contrast to the Boruto anime, I'd say, for the most part, which, apart from just moments here and there of, you know, greatness, like episode 65, which is the most recent, or the best example, actually, I'd say the anime really lacks focus, and that really has to do with the fact that, you know, it's not really based on any source material. Technically, what we were watching for the anime isn't filler, but that's a whole new topic. I mean, I think I actually have a video regarding, you know, the state of the Boruto anime, but that was when things were in the 40s episode-wise. But I mean, things haven't really changed, so you could definitely check out that video. But yeah, so we really and truly see Kawaki trying to form an alliance with Boruto in an effort to basically find a way to remove the karma mark, which is interesting. It really shows that even though Kawaki has this shitty personality, for lack of better phrasing it, I suppose, that he does have an idea in terms of his objectives. He's mature enough to actually, you know, try to bargain, especially now that he's starting to see that Boruto, Naruto, and company, they really and truly mean him no harm at the end of the day. Towards the end, of course, since the chapter is still partially a slice of life, we have Naruto basically offering to help Kawaki out in terms of getting back a flower vase for the one he broke, that Himawari actually had for Hinata, essentially, because that's the only way Boruto will, quote unquote, start working with him. So that's good too. It's good to see that he can put aside, you know, quote unquote pride to actually try to meet his objectives. So that's cool. But that's really and truly chapter 27 for the most part. The next cool tidbit was a line of dialogue that Jigen actually mentioned. It, how to even put it now? We really didn't find out much, but it's implied by his convo with Amado in Kawaki's flashback slash explanation in terms of his karma seal that it seems that the members of Kara are short on time and options when it comes on to something. I would wager that it has something to do with their life force, probably their bodies are dying more than likely, and that's why they really refer to Kawaki as the vessel. And it was interesting to know that he somehow gave Kawaki the karma seal through whatever experimentation they were doing. And not enough information. As I said, chapter 27 is just more of the breadcrumbs. What I will say is chapter 28 is probably the real deal breaker between these two chapters. So with chapter 28 now, it merely centers around Kawaki and Naruto going on a walk through Konoha, and by the end we see Delta and Kashin Koji. They finally arrive in Konoha after Kashin Koji actually let Kawaki, well, the leave villagers actually take Kawaki. And the story continues to build the mystery around Kashin Koji, because if you haven't, or I don't know if you've realized, but within this Boruto Naruto community, there have been lots of speculations and theories that Kashin Koji may be, a certain character from the past, but I'll get into that towards the end of, my notes here in chapter 28. So, chapter 28, yeah. So we really essentially start off with a little more slice of life, continuing off chapter 27. Boruto and Kawaki get into a little scuffle, and it's interesting to note, it might just be me reading too much into it, and it probably is, but it's interesting to note that both of them seem to have some degree of control over the activation of their karma seals, which is pretty interesting. I would love to know if Kawaki was holding back. Well, more like he was, because Boruto. Not to say Boruto's weak, but I mean, Kawaki does seem to be a grade above him in terms of raw power and skill, I'd say. But it's interesting to know that Boruto can actually spar with Kawaki at this point. So that was cool. But the basic premise of the chapter is that Naruto and Kawaki go on a walk throughout Konoha, meeting various people. And as I said, the members of Kara show up towards the end. From the perspective of Naruto, I'd say his attempts show that he's sincere in what he stands for, and that's always been, Naruto as a character. But as a Hokage at this point, it's good to know that he's developed to a point where his headstrong, dive in, ask questions later approach it's really and truly balanced with his responsibilities and all the things he has to do for the sake of the village as its current leader, which is interesting to see. Because at the end of the day, even though Naruto was a star of the previous series, it's cool to see that, he's developed to this point and is still developing based on, certain scenes back from even the anime. So that's cool. Kawaki now. It's good that he's slowly progressing and adjusting to his life in Konoha. But I'd say his change in character, well, not too drastic this chapter, but it does seem to be going down a predictable route. We already know that he'll have some role to play in the destruction of Konoha, more than likely based on the flash forward at the beginning of the series. And the potential death of Naruto, quote unquote. But so far, how that transition is going to take place for his character over the next few years, I'm saying it's potentially predictable. Not that it's a bad thing, but more than like something's going to happen, it's going to trigger him off, he may leave the village, and then you might end up helping out Kara if they're the ones responsible, or something along those lines. But we also get to see that he has some trauma to deal with based from his time with Kara, which really and truly shows that he's not a static character in the least, and rightly so. He could never be a static character. He's too important of a character to be static, really. But I think the part that most people will be raving about is the end with the Kara members Kashin, Koji, and Delta. Um, them showing up at the end, it really helps to move the plot along for the upcoming chapters, while also building the mystery for Akashi and Koji. And as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the speculation and theories within the community, it's that people will believe that Akashi and Koji could be Jiraiya. And honestly, at this point, the lines, what Kashin Koji said in this chapter, it probably could be true. It's really leading, adding some credit to those theories. He basically mentions that, even though it's peacetime, Konoha still maintains a somewhat of a barrier around the village for those who enter and leave, and just to identify if the persons entering are residents. Basically, their chakras have been registered essentially by the sensory units, which are led by Ino's clan essentially. So he tells Delta to stay behind, and that he goes in without triggering any alarms. So it's not even implied. They're basically saying that Kashin's Koji's chakras are he's a registered member of Konoha. So it's interesting to see where this chapter is going to go. Now, Naruto is the one he's Kawaki's bodyguard. It's going to be interesting when Kashin Koji meets up with Naruto, and we'll see how that confrontation goes. I don't know if I want to subscribe to the theory. Based on the themes of Boruto with technology and technology using technology to augment certain features or help people with disabilities that they've been playing on since Boruto started, I wouldn't be surprised if this is in fact Jiraiya, but he's been augmented with such a degree of technology that he's still alive. But at the same time, granted, we don't know why or what Kara is after at the end of the day. We got a hint in chapter 27, but I can't really say that they're evil. This is Naruto where things aren't black and white, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But together as a pair, chapters 27 and 28 do help to really move the plot along. And I'm not complaining. I'm really looking forward to chapter 29, to hopefully seeing Kashin Koji meet up with Naruto. And I would also say I can't wait till the anime reaches this arc, but gotta wait. Chapter 28 for the most part, definitely solid as well. Building mystery, moving the plot along, nice pacing, nice characterization. I can't really ask for more. The manga's been ever since the movie retelling ended, the manga for Boruto has been pretty solid. I cannot complain. But I can also see people complain about, they're not sure where the story is really going. And chapter 28 kind of helps to speed things along. So it is what it is. But anyway, let me know what you thought about my review / thoughts on these two chapters. Of course, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Interesting times, people. Again, I apologize for being MIA. But anyway, see you guys in the next one.